think they're calling. How many witnesses are you guys calling, if you don't mind me asking?
2. I'm going to call
Stephanie
Stephanie
and-
and this police officer, honestly.
Schneider?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, I just didn't know, so, all right.
It's going to be probably extreme.
No, that's fine. I just
No, I'm
wanted
just
to,
telling you, and I'm going to try to
No
do this
worries.
as quick as I can.
Grable, you said you were going to call.
I was going to call Stephanie Farley. I think she's outside.
yeah, she's outside, Judge. I subpoenaed her
That's fine.
at their request. Do you want me, I can go.
I think it might be best, Judge, I won't go into it though.
Yeah.
I'll let the prosecutor go get it.
Lieutenant Gerardo get her for you, and then I'll have
Yeah,
him
I'm not-
text Detective Schneider when,
That's
and she'll
fine.
just come up, unless she's already in, or you can text her now to come in. Lieutenant Gerardo. Oh, okay. Oh, they might not have let her in ahead of time.
That's fine.
I know they're doing that at 36, where they make like multiple witnesses.
No,
in the
that's
car.
fine. And like I said, I'll be brief and this won't be lengthy. You have anything else on the docket this morning? I don't think this is going to be incredibly lengthy, just to let the court know.
No,
I'll try to, I thought that witness.
A week
would
ago,
actually-
I was here for 5 or 6 hours straight. I was actually in the old building, but this is, the only thing I'm assigned is this case today.
I just.
Oh, okay, well, this
I
won't
had
be,
to,
I
I had
can
to file
tell
a
you.
pretrial and a
Oh,
misdemeanor, and so I had some
We'll be
missing
back in
information.
Sunday
It was supposed to
Road
start at
before you know it,
8:30, and
right?
that, but it was
What?
just like
I'll be back in
a
Sunday
adjournment.
Road
And the
before
judge
you know
said
it.
you should have,
Yeah.
she should have come to this courtroom first. I was like, I can't, like, I have to be here.
36?
It's like, really? I showed up for an adjournment?
Everybody goes, there's a case, speed up or something.
Right,
You
it's like-
raise-
I don't know, this is here, I should come for an adjournment.
In the matter now, hearing the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
For an adjournment.
Thank you. Would you please state your full name, spelling your last name for the record, please?
Yes, it's Stephanie Farley. Last name is Farley.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Farley. My
Good morning.
name's Attorney Scott Grable, if you didn't know. I'm going to ask you some questions, and do me a favor, please feel free to ask. If you don't understand something or you want me to repeat or rephrase, don't hesitate to ask. I'd be happy to do that.
Mhm.
Okay? I appreciate it, and I'll try to be as quick and brief as I can. You're Chuck Farley's ex-wife, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you and Chuck, obviously Chuck's here, he's a defendant in this case, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You guys were recently divorced. I think it was it finalized in 2020 or 2021?
2020.
Okay. And you were married for how long?
We got married May 2nd, 2015. So what would that be? A little over 5 years.
Correct. That sounds correct.
Mhm.
The reason, I guess, that you got divorced stems from your daughter's, Miley's allegations, which brings us to court today involving sexual assault.
That
correct?
is correct.
Okay. And would you say before these allegations came forth, would you say that your marriage, there was no issues? I mean, significant issues with your marriage? It was not heading for divorce, in your opinion?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So this, better word, this pretty much blindsided you. Would that be a fair
Absolutely.
statement?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I'm sure it was devastating, to say the least. That may not be a strong enough word, but
Mhm.
it was horrible.
It was.
Okay, I can appreciate that. And Miley is not Chuck's biological daughter, it's stepdaughter,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay. Did he, I mean, before these allegations, did he treat her like it was his biological daughter, other than obviously this
Right.
situation?
Of what I've seen, yes, I thought he treated both of my daughters very well.
Okay. And would you agree that you're a pretty hands-on mother with Miley, that you have significant contact with your daughter on a daily basis? You're real close. Would that be a fair characterization in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. And without going into in depth, would you agree, I guess, before this situation, I'm going to say these sexual assault allegations surfaced, Miley's biological father was not really in the picture? Would that be a fair characterization, or no, am I mischaracterizing?
No, that's correct. That's correct. He was around for about a year into me and Chuck. I call him Chuck.
That's fine.
Chuck dating, and then he was no longer around after that. He actually wasn't around until he was contacted because of the allegations.
Okay, and I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
That's not relevant
Right.
nor the present at this point, but there is a relationship better now with her biological father since Chuck's out of the picture. Is that a fair characterization?
No, it's not, because we started seeing him again and he's,
He kind of disappeared, for a better sense of the word?
yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, Did you, I guess growing up, and we can go into it just a little bit, did you ever have any discussions sort of with Miley, about somebody touching her inappropriately, what she should do?
I did not.
Okay. And that was just something you just didn't feel the need to kind of go into?
I didn't, no.
Okay, fair enough. Did you ever tell her anything that if somebody, let's say, assaults you or does something you don't like, anything, it could be mistreats her, talks to her inappropriately, anything that she should tell you or tell an adult, anything in any subject matter, if you know?
Right, I could have, because she's in school, of saying, if anybody talks to you a certain way, or whatever, but as far as, having this talk with her, I've never have. No.
Okay, fair enough. Now, these allegations, and when I say these allegations, I'm not going to repeat the word sexual assault or sexual molestation, because frankly, I don't know, I probably don't want to hear that. But when I'm referring to these allegations, you understand I'm referring to what brings us in court today.
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if I use the word allegations? Are you okay that I'm not going to confuse you? You seem pretty intelligent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So until February of 2020,
Mhm.
I think that's when these allegations came to light. Is that fair?
Yep, yes, correct.
And before that date, and again, I'm not going to say the specific date, sometime I believe it was early 2020. Does that sound about right to the
Yes.
best of your recollection?
Yes.
Did you have any idea there was anything going on inappropriately between Chuck and your daughter Miley?
No,
Okay, no.
not inappropriately, no.
Okay, and you were working full-time at that time or part-time? What was your work schedule?
I was a substitute teacher, so I was kind of just choosing, I don't know if you want to call it part-time, could be part-time, sometimes full-time. It was just kind of like an on-call basis.
So I guess from 2015 to, obviously that could change. Was your work situation sort of the same from 2015 to 2020? Was it sporadic as needed, or
Yes.
was your work situation different back in 2015?
No, I quit. I was working full-time until, let's see, my father passed away. So until 2016, I was working full-time for a credit union,
Okay.
and then I started my teaching.
Okay, and so you would teach part-time on call, am I?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, and were you typically home? I guess I have to pick the time frame, but do you know most of the time, let's say 2016, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and feel free to think and elaborate. You don't have to spit out an answer.
Mhm.
Do you know if you were mostly home on a daily basis, let's say Monday through Friday, or would you say?
I really couldn't tell you. I mean, it changed very often. There could be a week where I'd work one day, there could be a week where I worked 5, or a week I worked none.
Okay, and do you know, was this a specific school in Wayne County or a different county, or?
It's different counties. It's called EduStaff, so it's different districts that I would pick and choose of where to teach.
And if we had to kind of, and I'm not going to do it now, I promise, but if we had to refresh your memory and pull records of when, what your work schedule was, is that, I assume for tax purposes, you kind of kept track of that?
Correct.
And if we had to get these schools, do you know which schools did you work for, let's say in 2016? Do you recall?
And no, I couldn't tell you. Because again, it was everywhere. Like in EduStaff, you go in, you put districts that you want to work at, and then teachers make a posting saying, hey, I'm in this district, and I go in and choose.
Okay. If you weren't working, would you, assuming Miley wasn't in school, let's say 2016, would you be home with her, in some capacity, sort of, I don't want to say the babysitter, but I guess for a better sense of the word, the babysitter, the mother?
Right.
Would you be home, or would you delegate that to Chuck or somebody else?
No, there's been times where I'd either be home or he would be home, because there were times that he would work home. If Miley wasn't in school, Chuck would be home with her.
Okay, so he would be sort of, if you were busy working,
Mm-hmm.
if Chuck wasn't working, he would be home watching her.
Correct.
Did Chuck have a full-time job, let's say in 2016, up until, I guess, these allegations, 2020, if you recall?
Yes, he did have a full-time job. He got his full-time job in May of 2015.
Okay. And do you
Mhm.
know where that was?
Denzo.
Okay. And he, to the best of your knowledge, did he maintain that employment full-time until, at least till these allegations surfaced in
He did,
February
correct.
2020? And was that something he worked remotely, or did he have to go, in the office generally? if you know?
Both. There were times that he could work remotely. There were times that he could work in the office.
And how far was the office from
That's
there?
in Southfield. So from our house, it took him about 45 to 50 minutes to get there.
And he would just commute on a daily basis?
Yes.
When he had to go
When he
there?
had to go.
And that was always the location? It was always Southfield? It didn't move to a different business location, if you know?
Yes, other than when he did get contracted out to work with Toyota, he would have to go to Toyota and work. But that was still part of Denzo. They would contract him out to
Okay.
use the Toyota account or
Do you know
whatnot.
what the frequency, and again, if you don't, that's totally fine. Do
Mhm.
you know what the frequency was where he would, let's say, from 2000, I'm going to say 15 to 2020, when these allegations surfaced, how often would he be able to be at home, work remotely, and not have to report outside of the home, would you say?
I couldn't say offhand. I don't know.
Okay. Was he home a lot, from those times, or was it, no, he mostly had to go?
Mostly had to go.
Okay.
He mostly was at Denzo.
Okay, so it wasn't like he could stay home. Obviously, we're in the Zoom, if you know what Zoom is, you
Right.
probably do.
Right.
We're in the Zoom mode where a lot of people work remotely,
Mhm.
but it seems to be a newer phenomenon to me, but maybe they did it differently.
Yeah.
But so most of the time during the week, he would not be home.
Correct.
That's a fair, from
That's fair,
2015
yeah.
to 2020. Okay. If you were on a teaching assignment,
Mhm.
or substitute teaching, and he was working, who would take care of Miley if she wasn't in school?
If she wasn't in school
Yes.
and I was working, there were times that he would ask his boss if he could stay home because the kids didn't have school. Well, I wouldn't say kids because my oldest is old enough to take care of herself, Miley. So if Miley couldn't go to school or something happened, we didn't leave her alone, he would say, hey, I can ask my boss, I'll stay home and just work from home.
Did that happen almost every time you taught, that he would be able to sort of get in the Denzo?
No.
Was there ever a time where you were substitute teacher, he had to go to the work, the work location, wherever that may be, and did you have other arrangements of
We always
babysitting?
had other arrangements, yes, because I was able to also arrange sometimes, depending on the school I go to, sometimes it's elementary and I can get her on the bus to go. I don't have to worry about him being home or whatnot. If it's high school, then I have to be there early and he would stay home.
Okay. So obviously you weren't here for Miley's testimony. If Miley indicated that this happened a lot, when you were at work,
Mhm.
I assume, and again, I know you weren't here for the testimony, consider the hypothetical, would you have had to do it, obviously, when at home when you were at work?
Mhm.
Would you have had to do that always while he was homeworked, if you will, where he could work from home? Would that have been the only opportunity if you weren't there during the
Just
day?
being at work,
Yeah.
would there be any other, are you asking me
Yeah,
if there's
well,
other opportunity that he would have?
Because you said he was approximately 45 minutes from work.
Mhm.
Typically, if he went to the location in Southfield.
Yeah.
Where was you said Toyota, where was the Toyota location?
I don't know where Toyota was.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
I'm just asking, again, I know you weren't here, but it is part of the record. Miley indicated that some of these,
Objection. It's not proper for a witness to comment on the testimony of another witness or the credibility of another witness.
Well, I think you can comment on I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking about the circumstances, timing.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I said, I think it's more timing, this happened on Monday, and you were gone on Monday.
without specific, yeah, and I'll try to rephrase the question. Obviously, I know you don't keep a calendar of Chuck or a calendar. I wouldn't expect you to. I guess, how often was it, the frequency where you taught and he was allowed to stay at home? How often would you say that occurred? And I'm saying the 5-year span from 2015 to 2020. And I don't expect dates. That would be.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know how often. I can't
Okay,
even
fair
think
enough.
back. Mhm.
But when that happened where he had to be at work, you had to teach,
Mhm.
you had other individuals to take care of Miley if she wasn't in school, correct?
Yeah, right. If my daughter, who is, a little bit, is 5 years older, if
Okay.
she could be home, however, she's fairly busy. She's a teenager, so, there were
Okay.
times that she couldn't.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are those memorable, the times that you had to arrange for her to be there when Chuck worked? Did that happen often when, sort of, I got to work and you got to work, what do we do? Did that happen often or was that just sporadic?
No, it did. He worked from home, there was quite a few times that I can remember him working from home. I don't know how to really answer that. I mean,
That's fine. Well,
it's hard to think back to.
I understand. And we can get his work records to verify, they probably,
Right.
I imagine, verify that.
Right.
So, okay. Now, I'm going to switch gears just briefly. Your new Boston house. And
Yes.
there was, obviously, you slept in the same bed with Chuck. I know that seems like a stupid question, but you guys, some people don't, some people don't.
There were times that I slept on the couch, as he knows. There would be times that, because I have a bad back, that I'd say, yeah, I'm gonna sleep on the couch, or quite a few times I'd be on the couch.
Okay. And from 2015 to 2020, were you always living in the new Boston house or no? If you know.
Yes, 2015 to, no, I'm sorry, because we didn't move there until 2016.
Okay.
So 2016 to 2020, yes.
Okay. Do you know if did Miley ever tell you, words to the effect that any type of sexual assault took place in the house that was located in Taylor, your prior house, if you know?
In Taylor, no.
So based on your understanding of this, all the sexual assaults took place in the new Boston house, correct?
Well, she had, I guess, if you can rephrase your question.
Yeah, please
maybe
go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
when you
Go ahead.
say, did she ever make any, are you talking about when we lived there that I would have said, hey, I suspected it? Or are you asking
No,
me,
I'm
has she
asking-
said something since ever this?
Yeah, has it ever come to your attention, any allegations that Chuck touched Miley in a sexually inappropriate way in the Taylor, Michigan house?
Yes, since this has came out, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I thought you were referring
Okay.
to when we lived in the house.
No, and I didn't do a good job of stating the question. So you're indicating that based on your knowledge, you believe that Chuck not only touched Miley in a sexual inappropriate way in the new Boston house, but also you've, I guess, been told that he also touched her, he sexually assaulted her, Miley, in the Taylor house.
Yes, that is, she did just mention of when it started, was in the Taylor house.
Okay. So, and you feel comfortable that Chuck did that in both houses, correct? Based on what you've been told.
Based on everything she's told me and that he's backed up, yes.
Okay. And again, without repeating what Miley said, did she tell you, how many times Chuck sexually assaulted her in the Taylor, Michigan house?
No,
And again, I don't want to be graphic. Did she tell you specifically what the nature of the specific sexual assault that occurred in the Taylor, Michigan house?
no,
Okay. But you feel comfortable, she made it clear that it also happened in Taylor, Michigan.
that's
That house.
correct.
Okay. Now, the sleeping arrangements, and I apologize for digressing. Your bedroom, when you did sleep with Chuck, there was one bed in there, correct?
Correct,
It was a king-size bed?
correct.
And has it always been a king size, the same bed since you've moved into the new Boston house to now, or is that?
Since we moved in New Boston, we got that bed, so it's been the same bed the entire time in New Boston.
And I assume, is there windows in that bedroom?
There is,
Okay, and blinds in the bedroom?
there is, right behind our bed. Our
Okay,
head-
when you sleep, do you keep it, I do, but I guess that doesn't matter. Do you keep it completely dark or does some people like light in case they get up, but is there any light that illuminates in the room when you guys are sleeping? A night light,
Mhm.
anything, or maybe the moon outside or anything, or is
It's always dark.
it's always dark?
Mhm.
Okay. And was there ever times, number one, where you, Chuck, and Miley slept in the same bed?
Very often.
Okay. And the sleeping arrangements, was there a reason why, and Miley, I assume, of course, had her own bedroom and her own
She
bed,
did.
correct?
Mhm.
What was the reason, and you said very often, before I go further, what does very often mean? About how many would you?
A couple times a week.
Okay, and did this continue up until 2020 or
It
was that?
did.
Okay, so consistently from the time you moved into the new Boston house till the time these allegations surfaced,
Mhm.
Miley would sleep in the bedroom approximately 3 times a week with you and Chuck?
Right.
Is that
Mhm.
fair?
That's fair.
Okay. What was the reason? Was there a specific reason?
Yes, she would tell me and Chuck that, or not so much Chuck, she would just tell me, she'd come in our room and I'd say, "You're sleeping with us again?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, usually it's because she was just scared.
Okay.
And I would say, "What are you scared of?" And to this day, she still has, she does have nightmares.
Okay.
But she would always just say, "I'm scared. I'm scared. Can I sleep in here?" And we would allow her to sleep in there.
I understand. And would she typically, I mean, sleep in the middle, like Chuck would be on one side of the bed, you would be on the other, and she would be in the middle? Would that be a normal sleeping arrangement or would it vary?
It would vary. I mean, I would say for the most part, it would be, we always had a certain side of the bed he slept on, right? Would be him and then me and then Miley at the edge.
Okay. And so when she said she had nightmares, do you know if these nightmares were caused by what Chuck did to her? Have you delved into, or were these unrelated? Her wanting to sleep in the new Boston house, with you in the same bedroom. Were they related? The nightmares related to Chuck, or was that unrelated? If you know.
Are you asking me, are they related as far as now I know because she's telling me, hey, this is why?
If you know, yeah, and it's fine. Whatever you know, do you
Mhm.
know why with a nightmare? What were the nightmares of? If you
She
know.
has now admitted since then that one of the big reasons is when she would be in her room, often he would come in there. And so that's one thing that she had told me.
Okay.
And since the allegations have came out,
And I think you said earlier the nightmares made her afraid.
that's what she said.
Okay. And she indicated, obviously, now that you've pieced it together, what she was afraid of.
Hmm.
And I apologize, I'm not trying to cut you off, but and correct me, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What she was afraid of in these nightmares was Chuck touching her. And that caused her to be afraid and wanting to sleep in the bed with you there. Is that fair, or am I mischaracterizing it?
I think it's a mix of both, honestly, because Miley still has nightmares. So I don't know if there was nightmares before. I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, all I know is that she has brought up to me, since the allegations have came out, Mom, hey, that's one of the reasons that I always was scared. One of the reasons I was scared to be in my room.
Okay. And also, first of all, do you think it's possible that Miley could get molested or sexually assaulted in the bed multiple times with you being present at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. And how is that possible? That could occur right under your nose. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I
Go
think
ahead,
it
she's
calls
gonna-
for speculation, Judge.
No, I don't think it calls for expert opinion. She may have an answer. Maybe she's on horse tranquilizers. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yes. Based on, is there a reason?
I do take medication at night
Okay.
that pretty much knocks me out.
Okay. And I have a list of your medications, by the way, so you know.
Mhm.
One is if I'm incorrect, and correct me if I'm wrong, one is an antipsychotic. Is that correct?
I take Paxil for my depression.
Okay. And how long have you been on Paxil?
I've been on Paxil since 2012, I believe, 2012, 2011.
Okay, and I'm going to mispronounce this. I apologize. I don't work for Pfizer, Judge, so I'm going to mispronounce this. Aripiprazole. I butchered it. ARIPIPRAZOLE.
Is that the generic name for the Paxil? I don't know. I just know it as Paxil every time I go in. It's
I
known as
think The
Paxil.
brand name would be Abilify. Is
No,
that
they
another-
gave me that. I took it 1 week and then stopped taking it.
Okay, besides depression, was there other medications you were on?
Omeprazole for heartburn.
Okay, anything else?
No.
So you said Paxil. I actually looked up Paxil.
Mhm.
I didn't see it as knocking people out or causing them to be in a deep sleep. Is that something that's just that you reacted to, but it doesn't say?
It is. It's something that I have that, and I'm also in testing for sleep apnea. and I am constantly, I am a very hard sleeper.
Okay.
So,
So-
in the morning, my alarms don't even wake me up.
Okay, so that's how you believe if Chuck would have done this with you right next to him with Miley in the middle, that sounds like that wouldn't surprise you. You
It
think
would
that-
not surprise me.
Okay. I guess, and you don't have to speculate if you don't know, if
Mhm.
Miley is afraid, because part of the reason is she has nightmares on Chuck touching her in a
Mhm.
sexually inappropriate way. Do you know why, or have you explored why would she want to be in the same bed with him? Wouldn't she want to be as far away from him as possible? If you know,
I
and I,
think we're beyond, this is pure speculation.
well, unless she asked her and she knows, but I respect the court's ruling.
Speculation. Beyond.
I'd be happy to answer that, though.
Objection, I'm objecting, Judge.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's not, well, again, I'm not attacking the court, but if she says she knows the answer, but I respect the court's ruling.
Go ahead, give the answer.
As far as why she might, when a child is in their bedroom by themselves and there's a door, you can easily shut that door. I am laying right next to her and maybe in hopes that, hey, my mom is sitting right here next to me. Maybe he won't do it. So there's a big difference between a child sitting next to me and wanting, hey, I feel a little bit safer. Maybe tonight he won't do this because I'm sitting right next to my mom, compared to her being in a bedroom where he could shut the door. So there's a big difference. If I was a child, I'd want to be next to my mother too, in hopes that he wouldn't do that.
No, and I totally respect the answer. I guess the thing is, if he kept doing it over and over, of exploring your hypothesis that you just said,
Mhm.
you know, hypothesis testing that statement,
Mhm.
obviously, if you said that's the reason that you believe, and you said you talked to her, well, if he continued, according to her testimony, do it over and over again,
Mhm.
you being there didn't seem to provide any level of safety. You would agree that didn't materialize. She wasn't safer. It kept happening. Would
Yeah,
that be
obviously
correct?
it did keep happening.
But yet she kept coming back to sleep in the same bed, even though you were there. And I'm not faulting you, so
Mhm.
please don't take it that way.
Mhm.
I'm not faulting you saying you did anything wrong
Mhm.
at all.
Mhm.
Not implying it either.
Mhm.
But you said under your own testimony that you felt Miley thought it would be safer to sleep with you because you would be right there.
Mhm.
But yet she continued to be touched. Why'd she keep coming back to the bed if you did not provide her any safety because you were sleeping so heavily?
So what, would she just want to stay in her room would be my question to her. I don't
Okay.
think she would feel safe being in her room. I mean, and she probably wasn't safe in my bed either.
I
But at the
understand.
same time, if I being a child, he can shut that door and nothing's gonna, so maybe she felt like, you know what, if it gets to it, I can nudge her or get her up, something.
So it was, and that pardon the pun, it was the lesser of two evils maybe in her
Yeah.
mind. Fair enough. I'm going to move along. Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, when this got reported in February, I think February of 2020, these allegations we've been
Correct.
talking about, there was a point in time that you interviewed with a detective, Carrie Schneider, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I think, I was going to say, do you see her here today? But she's not here yet. I think she's in the parking lot, so I'm going to cross that question off my list. But if you saw her today, you would know what she looks like.
That's correct.
And I think there was a meeting, and think about it. I think it was February 11th, 2020, and you were at the Swagger's house. You know Rob and Jamie Swagger.
I
correct?
do.
Okay, and at the time, these were two people that were very close friends of yours that you knew through church, that were friends with you and Chuck, correct?
That's correct.
And obviously, you're not friends with them anymore because they obviously are, I'm going to say, for a better sense of word, on Chuck's side in this case concerning these allegations, correct? So you're not friends with them anymore.
That's part of it, yes.
Okay, and I'm not going to delve into the rest of it.
Okay.
I don't think that's relevant, to be fair to you.
Mhm.
But you were do you recall a time that you were at the Swaggart's house sometime in February of 2020 discussing with the detective this investigation when it was still ongoing, I think before charges were fermented?
I couldn't give you the exact date. I know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, she was there at a time that I was already there, and she had pulled up to pick up their statements.
Okay. And do you recall, and I could show you this, that there was actually a point in time, and I remember there was snow on the ground because I have a Ring doorbell video. Do you remember there was a time that you wanted to talk to Detective Schneider outside and you asked to talk to Detective Schneider outside?
That's correct.
Okay. And I could show you the Ring doorbell, but you remember that, right? So if you don't want, I can, but if it sounds like you remembered, I'm not going to refresh your memory. Do you recall that?
The conversation?
Yeah.
I remember walking out. I don't remember the whole conversation of what we had. No.
Okay. Obviously, before you walked outside, you remember telling Detective Schneider words to the effect, "I haven't been entirely honest with you. Can we step outside?" And then you talked to her outside. which is-
I do not recall that, no.
So if Rob Swagger and Jamie Swagger testified under oath, would they be lying or mistaken? Or you think that's possible? You would have told Detective Schneider that you haven't been entirely honest about what you reported to the police. Words to that effect.
I don't
Judge,
remember.
I'm gonna object. It's improper to impeach a witness with extrinsic evidence.
Well, no,
And of other statements, that's extrinsic.
well, I'm just asking her, would they be lying if she doesn't remember? Okay, so you don't have any memory. Why, if you're there, why not step into a different room? Why step outside?
We've gone through that, we covered the ground
Okay,
several times.
okay. So you have no memory of saying that, correct? I just want to be clear.
Of saying what?
Basically, that you told Detective Schneider that you weren't entirely honest about the investigation.
Sure, but we've been over that again, again.
Okay,
Let's move on.
okay. Now, after this allegation came out,
Mhm.
you confronted Chuck
Correct,
about these allegations. You wanted to see if they were true.
correct.
Well, first of all, if Miley told you they were true, why would you even doubt it? And not that you're not going to confront Chuck, but you believe
Right.
her.
No, I believed her right away. It was, I wanted to hear it from his own mouth.
Okay, so you didn't need to hear it, but you
I
wanted
didn't need to hear it, but I wanted to
I
hear it from his
understand.
own mouth.
Okay, now, you recall the first time, and if you don't remember the exact date, that's fine. The
Mhm.
first time you confronted Chuck?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what date, do you recall what date it was?
That was that Sunday, so I think that was February 9th, maybe. I don't know the exact date. It would have been around that time, whatever that Sunday was.
Okay,
It was the Sunday before Valentine's Day.
okay. And when you confronted Chuck, I guess the first time, would you say, did he confess to this and admit to you he did it?
Not right away.
Okay, he didn't admit.
We were standing outside and I immediately asked him to meet me on the porch and we walked out. He lit up a cigarette and I said, "What did you do to my kid?" or something. I can't remember the exact words. I mean, we're talking over a year ago, but I did ask him and he didn't say anything. And I asked him again and he just said yes, pretty much that he did. And that was almost enough for me to, I didn't want to hear any more from him. And that's when I ran into the house.
Okay. Did he tell you, I'm just looking at the report on your at
Mhm.
least, and this is the police officer's report, and you
Mhm.
could disagree with it, says, and again, this is just a report, you could
Right.
disagree with it. I'm looking here, I'll show you the incident report dated 2/13.
Oh, yep, thank you.
And feel free to disagree because it's just the detectives.
Mhm.
When Stephanie confronted the defendant, he admitted to her that he had been sexually assaulting the victim, Miley, and stated the victim was telling the truth. That's a little, again, that's what it said in here. Was what exactly did the words Chuck said when he first admitted it?
I believe so. Like I said, it's been over a year.
Okay,
I
so
don't,
is that possible? These, even though it's different today, these are the words that Chuck would have said, that Miley's telling the truth or something like that, or do you recall?
I don't.
So
I
it wasn't
can't-
memorable when your husband that you've had for 5 years just told you what happened? That didn't resonate?
It was
to you?
pretty much yes that he did. And
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I can't remember the exact words. No.
So at first he was hesitant about
Mhm.
disclosing it
Mhm.
for with many reasons, maybe.
He just
want-
didn't say anything.
Right, he silent or denial?
Oh, he never denied it. Never.
Okay. So I didn't find anything in a report that he was silent at first. It just indicates that when you confronted him,
Mhm.
he just admitted it.
Yeah,
So-
I think I asked him one time or twice. I don't, again, I can't remember. We're talking over a
Totally
year
fine.
ago.
No, I understand. So do you know if you told Detective Schneider, well, I asked him once, he kind of didn't say anything. Then again, I confronted him, then he admitted it. Do you know if you told her the first time he really?
I
was-
don't remember.
Okay, so maybe. you
Maybe, maybe not. I don't
didn't-
remember
okay, and
exactly.
She just maybe didn't put in the report, didn't think it was important, maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. But that wasn't the only time Chuck admitted this to you, that he did it, that he committed this sexual assault against Miley.
Right,
correct?
that was not the only time.
Okay, later in the same day.
In the same day,
Did he confront you about it, or did you confront him again?
I confronted him again
Okay, and where was that?
at his mother's house.
Okay, so his mom's there,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you were, livid is not strong enough a word. I'm sure you were probably
It was
mad beyond words, and that's probably not
It was almost a shock when somebody dies right in front of your face. That's about how it feels.
No, I could appreciate that. Then when you confronted him the second time,
Hmm.
do you recall what you asked him specifically?
I cannot remember specifically what I just remember just trying to get it out of him. What did he do?
Okay, so what did you do to my daughter or something like?
Something
Yeah,
along
again,
those
I'm not-
lines.
Again, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm
Right.
paraphrasing, and
Right.
correct me, like I said.
Yeah, I can't phrase exactly what I had
Fair
said.
enough. I wouldn't expect you to. It says in the report, and correct me if this sounds wrong, defendant stated to them, and this was the mother, before I get to that, the mother, Chuck's mother was right there.
Right there at the table.
She's right there.
Hmm.
Within, I don't want to say earshot. I mean, you guys are there closer than you and I are, right?
Yes.
And it says in the report, defendant stated to them he would caress and lick the victim's boobs and lick her pussy.
Exactly.
Part of my French. I'm just reading. I'm not trying to be.
27 years in the Navy.
I appreciate it. I'm only reading because I don't want to change the vernacular. I don't like to use foul language. So did he use that verbiage?
He used that verbiage, and that is something I will never forget because the fact that he did use that verbiage,
So this
it made me sick.
okay. And literally, so Chuck is not only telling you what he did,
Hmm.
first he's silent, then he admits he assaulted your daughter, sexually assaulted her.
Hmm.
Now in front of his own biological mother, and I'm not going to repeat it, don't worry. He's describing in painstaking detail
Hmm.
the actual, in those horrid words,
Hmm.
in front of his own mother, what he did?
He did.
Okay. And he used that he used the P word and the B, I'm going to say the B word because I don't want to repeat it.
Hmm.
What was his mother? Did you see her mother's expression? Do you know if she was
Absolutely. I'll never
shocked?
forget what she said either. She sat there and she just shook her head and she was crying and she goes, honey, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you just got a prostitute? That is something I'll never forget that she said. And which hurt my feelings because I'm thinking
No, I
I'm his
understand.
wife.
No, I understand. So did he, at that point, would it be fair to say, I assume you were, I mean, this marriage is pretty much over.
Hmm.
I mean, I probably was over once Miley disclosed it to you, correct?
Hmm.
Is that, and I pardon me, is that a yes?
You're asking at that point, did I have it in my
your
head?
mind, this is done. I'm
Oh,
not getting
yes.
back together with him.
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
I can do that. Now, at that particular point in time, I assume was the living arrangements basically changed at that point where you guys resided? Hey, you're not going to reside in the same house with this guy,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, did he leave or did you leave?
As far as leave out of the house, or
The new
leave from
Boston
Glenda's.
house, yes.
He did.
Okay.
Because I had told him, I said, you go home and get your stuff and get out of the house or something along the,
Sure,
like, go and
fair
get your
enough.
stuff.
Now, and this is sometime in February 10th, February 11th,
Mhm.
2020, correct?
Mhm.
Yes, and I pardon me, I'm not. trying
I'm
to be
sorry,
rude.
I'm February,
10th
you're
or
asking
11th?
what was
Yeah,
that day?
Around that date, it's mid-February 2020.
Right, it's still all the same day.
Okay,
That's
no
all the
problem.
same
Okay, I
day.
want to make sure it's contemporaneous, and it's sometimes hard when you say or
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be rude. It's-
No, I'm trying to
judge
think
it.
about it at the
No,
same
you're
time.
fine,
Yes,
you're
it
fine.
was that Sunday. That's still that same Sunday we're on.
Okay, now, there's a point in time, Chuck's not the only one that confessed that he committed this crime, correct?
What do you mean?
There's Chuck told you twice in front of his mother and how you described that he committed this sexual assault against Miley,
Right.
correct? He's not the only person that told you Chuck did it, is he? Somebody else also told you Chuck.
My
was-
daughter.
Right. And so, anybody else told you Chuck's guilty or he did it or words to the effect?
Just listening to him and my daughter. as far as
Well,
I know.
You called me, remember you called me on Scott Grable, you called me on February 10th and we had a phone conversation, remember?
Yes, I remember that conversation.
Okay. Didn't you wrote a witness statement on that, correct? Do you recall? I can show it to you.
Yes,
Okay, have you read the witness statement before you signed it?
yes. Is that you talking about what I wrote?
Yeah, about me.
Yes,
And during that during the conversation, you told the police that I told you, and you recognized me when you called me, I was Chuck's defense attorney, correct?
correct.
So you understand I wasn't a friend or family member or anything. You didn't know
Correct.
who I was.
hmm
Did you look me up before you called me?
Did I look you up?
Yeah, did you look me up on the internet just to see who I was?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm going to read this from your witness statement. I could show it to you if you'd like. It's in your discovery.
No, it's at the, oh, okay, yep. Go ahead. Do you have an extra copy? Not a print.
No, but yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
did
are
make
you
you a
sure?
copy.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, I appreciate that.
No. I'm going to read this. Would you like me to show it to you? Would that help or you don't need it?
I mean, I can
What would
look it
be
over. I mean,
your-
we're over a year ago, so I mean,
Would
to
it help
see it.
refresh your memory to
It could.
review it? Was it okay, Judge, if I approach? You'll find this interesting. Please take your time and read it to yourself. And for the record, I highlighted the portion. Those are my highlights, just so
Yeah,
you know.
I
That's-
figured.
Well, I know. At this point, I better be careful in reference to me, or I may be here for a witness tampering charge. Who knows? It could happen. We bring Matt Penny in, it could happen. But anyway, I digress.
And just for the record, I mentioned about knowing the terms from my years, doesn't mean I necessarily approve of them.
You're very learned, Judge. I would disagree with that.
It's like, you hear them, you know what you're talking about, and leave it at that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. It says on the bottom of the statement I highlighted, the attorney told me he's at least looking at 25 years for life for what Chuck did. Looks like he acknowledged with what Chuck told me, there sounds like penetration was involved. Quote by the lawyer. The lawyer stated Chuck told him what he'd done.
Mhm.
I pretty much, again, I'm not saying it because I'm not sworn as a witness. Hopefully that may happen later, but not for today yet. But I confess that Chuck, according to you, I confess that as Chuck's lawyer, he was guilty. He committed the crime. Would that be a fair characterization based on this statement?
The conversation that I had, can I say refer to you?
Yes,
Conversation I had with you, I remember you saying that, according to, and I can't paraphrase this, I
Please,
can't
I'm not
remember
gonna cut you off.
specific
Go ahead,
quotes,
please.
but that you had spoke with him, and I said, does he understand or something about what he's looking at or what's going on? I can't remember exactly,
That's okay.
but you had said that he came in there, and if there was the fact that there was penetration involved, he was looking at 25 years for that. That's something, and I remember having a conversation with you in which you had also said, you've heard of other times or other cases that you did have where you did suggest of moving the person out. I remember that conversation with you. And I told you, I said, I couldn't do that. First of all, I'm not going to do that. And I thought it was weird because I'm a mandated reporter myself as a teacher, thinking I cannot not go to the police with this.
So it's your position that I told you not to report it as well during this conversation, correct?
That you told me not to report it.
Not
That
to
was a
report.
suggestion that you
It
had
was
said.
well, it was a suggestion or I told you not to. I just want to make sure we're clear.
As far as I can remember, again, I can't say for sure.
Did I bribe you during this conversation or offer you compensation if you know?
The only thing that you had mentioned about compensation of money at all is saying that somebody, you had cases where if you moved him out, maybe he can just pay alimony. Because I had brought to you about, I've got to worry about basically my livelihood.
Okay. So I want to make sure. So you did you read between the lines here or did I actually say, look, you shouldn't report this?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, you texted Chuck, and I can show you the text earlier that day. You already reported it to the police about an hour and a half
I
before
did.
you called me.
Mhm.
And you texted Chuck that too. It's
I
part of
did.
the discovery package.
I believe I did, yes.
So, and again, so I'm telling you or suggesting not to report it,
Mhm.
but you already, by your own admission, you told my client that you've already reported it. So I know you can't get into my head. So I'm asking you, in essence, I'm suggesting you to do something that you already told my client that you already did.
Right. And I wouldn't have thought, I didn't know if you already knew that or not. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, did you remember? Because I saw there was, again, rightfully so, you were pretty upset that day.
I was very upset that day. So
Rightfully
me
so.
being able to sit there and describe every single thing that happened that day,
I
no, I'm
understand.
sorry. My
No.
conversation with you was probably the last thing I thought about, was my conversation
Right.
with my husband.
No, I understand. It was obviously a terrible time in your life, which I can respect.
Very.
So you file then, I guess, Detective Schneider, you file criminal charges against me, trying to get me charged with some type of witness tampering, correct?
I did not, as far as I know, I don't know what the legal process is.
Okay.
If that's filing criminal charges, it was just a statement of what happened.
Okay.
I was at the Swagger's house, and that's when she had showed up, and I said, I just got off the phone call, and it was a very strange, and it kind of bothered me.
Did you record the phone call? That would be helpful. Did you have a recording of that call between you and me?
I don't, other than my mother, who I had you on speakerphone, was there.
Okay, and she wrote the statement too.
I believe so. I think
Chuck's
she
mom
did.
wasn't there too. We don't have a statement from her, what I said. And she, I guess, corroborated everything you said, right? About me, right?
Chuck's mom,
No, your mom.
my mother.
Yes,
Yeah, my mother, yes.
that's good to know. Okay. And would be fair to say that the prosecution hasn't filed any charges against me. They've reviewed the file and you've been told that I'm not being charged at this time, correct?
Objection, I think that goes beyond the scope of her knowledge.
Well, maybe she knows. Well, I don't think I'm charged yet unless.
I think this whole thing is way.
Well, I agree. No,
Let me
I'm,
finish, please.
sorry, Judge.
Let me finish. This whole series of questions with Ms. Farley is way beyond
Mhm.
the scope of this exam. And so I'd like you to get back to either the topic at hand or.
Well, and I agree, Judge. And the only reason I would agree, at some time, I think it may be relevant as other acts witness, but we're not here now. But the thing is, when she takes the chair, she puts her credibility in issue.
I know that.
She's claiming I confessed that my client committed the crime. That's
Did you
fine.
just hear what I said?
Yes,
Did you remember?
I did. And I respect the ruling, Judge. One second, Your Honor. I'm just going to talk a little bit. Thank you. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Any-
Farley. I
any
appreciate your time.
questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Sorry, got a little paper spread going on here. Give me
Let
one.
me move my stuff out of the way for
And
the
is it okay if
prosecutor.
I keep this, Mr. Grable, or do you need it back?
No,
Okay,
no, you're
thank you.
fine. Please do.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna give you this.
Oh, that's fine.
And do you need a copy of her original statement? In case I reference it?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yes. So I don't have to keep going back and forth. Okay. So you have follow along. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
Is it okay if I call you Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay. Stephanie, I just have one question in regard to the last portion of the discussion between you and Mr. Grable.
Yes.
You mentioned that he had said to you something to the effect of, if you didn't go, maybe he could, if you didn't go to the police, maybe he could just pay you alimony.
To pay alimony, is that what you
To
said?
you, Chuck, not Mr. not Mr.
Right,
Grable.
right. That was a
Just a-
suggestion.
Okay.
Mhm.
And who represented Mr. Farley in your divorce?
Jennifer Kelly,
Okay. Was the Grable law firm involved at all?
it was brought up several times in an email.
Okay.
Is that what you're meaning? Like, was it
Did they represent him at all in the divorce hearings or in the divorce proceedings? If you know.
the two counsel? No.
Okay, okay, thank you. And I'm going to show you something.
I think, you know what, I just because I'm remembering,
And
I think there
before
was.
you go on, I just want to make sure we don't talk about what, may have been discussions during the divorce proceeding.
No.
What Mr. Farley said during that, what you said during that, those are
Right,
between you and your lawyers, it's not proper.
right. I was just gonna, I think I remember one time that Miss Jennifer Kelly was out,
Okay,
that Mr. Amadeo
okay.
had represented because she was out of the office. I just remembered
So
that.
he like stood in for her?
Right,
Okay,
right.
understood. Thank you. And it was Mr. Amadeo, you said?
Mr. Amadeo, yes.
Understood. Okay, I'm going to show you what I gave to the defense and what has been previously marked as people's proposed exhibit 1. Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. May I approach? I'm sorry.
I would have stopped you.
I know, I'm sorry. You know. Okay. And do you can you look through what I've handed to you and tell me how many
Yes.
pages is it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages.
Okay. And can you tell me do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is this?
This was a text message back and forth between me and Mr. Farley,
Okay.
starting on the 9th. This is when I
The
was,
9th of what?
of February, I'm sorry.
2020?
2020.
Okay. And how do you know it started the 9th of February?
Because I remember the text messages that day.
Okay. Does the date appear on this piece of paper anywhere? I know, I'm sorry, our copier at the office is not.
Yes, I do see at the top of
Okay.
the first page. So yes,
And-
Sunday, February 9th.
Does it show who you're talking to in this conversation? Like, is there a way to identify that as Mr. Farley besides you telling me?
Yes, I have them saved in my phone. It says Thurman.
And is there a photo associated with that?
There is a photo with him.
And is that photo of the defendant? I know it's blurry.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And now the text message, these are text messages you said?
They are.
The text messages, who's talking in like the blue bubbles? We'll call
The
them?
blue bubble is me.
Okay. And who's talking in the gray or white bubble?
Yeah, it's kind of whited out. That's Mr. Farley.
Okay. So you say to Mr. Farley, and I'm skipping down here, Miley is saying this has been going on since Taylor.
Yes.
And what is his response?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. And then you say she still wants to go to the police.
Correct.
And what does he say?
Nothing ever happened in Taylor.
And does he say anything else after that?
Tell her I'm going to turn myself in, and once I get everything ready for you guys.
Okay. And then going down, and I know it's a little cut off, so I apologize.
Yeah.
You say, yes, please make sure you can figure out what you can and don't leave us dry. You
Mhm.
chose this.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing her tell me details, excuse me, I'm ... I'm sick. And then it says, I just don't understand why you, and that looks like it's cut off.
Correct.
And then he responds to you,
Let me go.
and we're on page 2 now.
Hold on, I'm looking for where that part is.
So starting at the bottom of page 1, yes, please.
Oh, I won't leave you out dry. I promise. Just give me a few days to get it all set out. I'm sorry and I love you.
Okay. Now, if you could just review this to yourself quickly, and then let me know when you're done reviewing it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you just read all the messages.
Yes.
It'll take a minute. I know it's 5 pages.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anywhere in here, and you're talking obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about, this is the same day that Miley had told you what happened and you confronted Chuck and all this had kicked off, so to speak.
Right. Some of this, half of it's from Sunday that day. The
Yes.
other part of it's the next day.
Okay, but this had all just come out in the open? so to
Yes.
speak. Okay. And is there anywhere in here, and you're talking about the allegations that Miley
Yes.
made, correct?
Correct.
In these text messages?
Correct.
Anywhere in here where he says anything about he didn't do it or
No.
denies that he did it?
Nope.
That you see? Okay. I'm gonna flip now to page 3 of this. And I'm starting with you talking about, you text, I told Delina, correct?
Correct.
And that's your older daughter?
My oldest daughter,
Okay.
yes.
What is his response to that?
Now she's going to tell her dad.
Okay. And then I'm flipping to page 4. I think, yeah, 4.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you, you say, I don't know what I'm going to do. And we're starting on February 10th in the early
Yes.
morning hours. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. God, you have left us in a mess. What time are you going to the bank? Rob said you can come see him. Is that Rob Swager?
Yes,
Are you
correct.
up? And it's 9:08 a.m. at this point on February 10th for these messages? I know it's
Yes.
hard to.
Yes.
And you say, did it ever cross your mind it would eventually come down to this? I feel like you never loved me. Now, you used me to prey on Miley. Please tell me the truth. Please, please. I just feel like I'm left without answers. Please. And he says what? Does he say it's not true? I didn't do this?
No, he
Okay.
doesn't. He never says it's not true.
What is the response to you?
I have and always will love you.
Okay. And going to the next page, page 5. And I'm skipping down to the bottom here. We're still on February 10th. You say, what did we discuss? He
Correct.
says there's a lot to set straight. And you say, what did we discuss? And what is his response?
Let's see. There's a lot to set straight. What did we discuss? So then he replied, and I'm doing it. I don't maybe he was
Just
messed
read
up.
it verbatim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it or in jeopardy. I'm taking care of it. Please let me handle this. I'm going to turn myself in. I'm trying to get things in order. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm not touching any money. I'm trying to take care of the bonds.
And then, okay. All right. And then I'm moving to admit this as People's Exhibit 1.
No objection for
And-
prelim purposes. It was part of the discovery packet, so
Okay.
we think there are, at this point, for these purposes, I'm not challenging authenticity.
And may I publish to the court, Your Honor? Thank you. May I approach the witness as well?
You approach me too with the.
I will. Take this from me.
Thanks.
I'm just one moment. Okay. Judge, I have no further questions.
No further questions?
No further questions.
Read, I guess we read.
Just a few, just very, very briefly.
Does she need that exhibit back?
What exhibit?
The one I
Mine?
just entered, judge has it, so she needs it.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. If she does, it's,
Oh,
no.
and I should collect the statement.
That's fine. It's not going to be very,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
very long. Ms. Farley, so characterizing these messages, I think they speak for themselves.
Mhm.
Do you know if they were obtained from your phone or from Chuck's phone? If you know, if you don't, it's fine.
I don't know. I know that I had sent some previously
Okay.
too. But I don't
And
know where they had got
Okay,
theirs originally.
That's fine. So it sounded like part of it was, obviously, you wanted to make sure Chuck made financial arrangements so you would be able to take care of yourself and your daughter. That was part of the discussion. I didn't say it was the only part, but that was mentioned in there, correct?
Correct. It was definitely weighing heavily on my mind.
You were concerned that he wasn't going to give you money at that time, that you
Correct.
felt that you needed to
Correct.
survive, to live.
Chuck was our breadwinner in our family,
I
and we had
appreciate
bills that were
that.
almost $5,000 a month.
No, and he had obviously good employment.
Right.
Okay. Do you recall, and I could show it to you, that you said those bastards, there was a text message, I think you sent it to Rob Swagger, I think it was around February 11th or 12th, those bastards took $40,000.
Yeah, actually, I
okay. That's okay.
Just, hey, it might be
Stephanie, you can
interesting
go back
reading.
with Kim and I'll be right in, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I would ask you.
I mean, I didn't even know about this case
You're
until,
not gonna, obviously, I'm sure you're not, you're not gonna talk to her when she's in the middle of the cross right now.
no, I wasn't.
Okay, I didn't think you were.
No,
I-
I
I-
don't have to talk to her. Nope,
That's fine.
I have no problem sitting
And I
there.
have no issue with that. at
Yeah,
all.
no, nope.
And I'm almost done anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
If I take them out, just to talk to them.
Yeah.
okay with you?
Yeah, let me just see my.
I'm almost done.
I just had to go with the big cat.
Here's the one I was referencing, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen this.
I thought I was one of the bastards. I thought it was plural, but I guess I'm wrong.
I didn't,
Give Matthew Penny my best.
like I said, I have no,
Come on, I passed two.
but I'm not involved in that, so
Right,
I
but that
wasn't in
was-
this unit.
No,
so you
I'm not
can't
blaming, I'm not blaming.
Impose that on
I'm
me.
not blaming, no, I'm not.
I literally got this case March
No,
8th,
but
of
let me tell you
2021.
something, they play games with that. I mean, you're right. I'm just saying, it's not, listen, I don't have a problem with the case, but that gets a little bit deep.
Right.
That's what you can
And
understand.
I understand you have feelings about it, but I'm just telling you that I was not part of it.
Well, I'm not.
And you can
don't
see
think
that
you
I have
are.
not brought it
No.
up. I have not,
Well, I wouldn't care.
Right, but I have not
I've
been-
won everything. Why would I feel bad?
I
I'm
understand,
saying no.
but I'm just letting you know, I have no part in it.
Well, the whole thing, listen, I don't have a problem with investigating it. I don't mind telling you. He offered everybody on planet Earth immunity. He went nowhere with it. I passed
Sure,
two lie
and so-
detectors. No, but I offered her a lie detector.
Right.
Not me, I didn't.
Right,
talk to
right,
her.
right.
Yeah, it was obvious. It reeked of bullshit.
Sure.
We'll read the messages. If you read the grievance, it's laughable. And the detective doesn't get the message. By the way, she never interviewed me either. I'm not gonna get into that today
Again.
with her, but, oh, I got some you're gonna find very entertaining. You, no, wait.
Sorry, 1 second.
No,
My
you're
victim
fine.
advocate is texting
I'm
me.
almost done. This is gonna be long.
No, you're fine. I just, my
Believe me,
victim,
this
I
is
want to make
not
sure.
gonna be long. And
That's
you can
fine.
see, I think I've been very respectful.
Yeah,
And I'm not
I
gonna
have
do
not
it.
objected very much.
No, you haven't. I appreciate it, but it's like, you would be angry too if you were me.
Sure, I don't doubt it. Like I said,
10 months, by the way, on a phone call. Took me 10 months.
right, I have no, like I said, I got this case literally
No,
March
I have
8th.
no issue with you, and I'm done.
And I think you can tell that I've been very forthcoming. I have.
No, I have no issue with you. And listen, I don't have any issue. Listen, like I said, I called Christina Hines. I was trying to figure out a way to bring her in here today, but I couldn't figure out anything relevant to ask her. I would have dragged her in too if there was.
Yeah, she's not with our office anymore, so
I know,
obviously,
she's
I haven't
with
talked,
Washington.
yeah, so I haven't talked to her about this
No.
case. The only person I've
No,
talked to is
you're fine.
Michelle, and it seems like,
Well, you know what's funny? She calls me, are you Scott Craven? Yes. Is this your cell number? Yes. Thanks. Have a good, did you talk to Stephanie Farwell? Maybe. I don't know. Have a good day.
right, again,
That's pretty thorough, isn't it?
like I said, I don't know anything about it.
No.
Oh, don't worry, she'll be fine. She's warrior out there. So it'll be fine.
All this does is just through the playback laws. That doesn't do with your live.
And then at some point before, like, I mean, honestly, things can't work around now. So I would like to sit down so we can all go over everyone's files, make sure everyone has.
No, I'll make
everything.
sure you have it. Yeah, we're
No,
not
I just,
surprised.
because I'm his third prosecutor, so.
I know, and the other two left. The first
Right,
one
and so
left.
it's hard for me to, I want to
It
make
was
sure. everyone-
Christina, then who did they go to sign?
Michelle.
And where's Michelle?
She is actually works for Falzon Bond.
She's
She does-
nice.
She's very nice. She does.
No,
the-
she is.
Yes, she
No,
does the
she
city
is.
of Westland, like criminal stuff. but she
Believe
doesn't-
it or not, the judge will tell, I'm really nice.
I don't think you're mean. I've never
You know,
said you
you
were
call
mean.
me before, it depends who you ask.
I haven't
I
said
try to
anything.
be nice.
I'm very nice. But I
She's
just,
taking a strange turn,
Sure.
that's all.
I get it. But I just want everyone to like sit down so I can make sure you guys have everything because,
There's not, that's fine.
yeah, I just want to make sure we can do that at some point, you know, masked or
Well-
not, because that way I can just.
Well, I think there's a possibility based on the testimony today, and I frankly probably could be recusing myself after this. Bill has his own firm.
Right.
And I probably, again, it's premature, but I probably.
Yes, I know, I just wanted to say.
I know. Discuss it.
That's
That's
fine. And
possible.
Bill, I
Just
was
to let
just
you know.
telling Scott, at some point, I'd like for all of us to sit down and go over each other's files to the extent that we can, to make sure everything, because I'm with our prosecutors, I want to make sure
Yeah,
that
you're fine.
everything was given.
I'm sure we're missing something.
Right, but I mean, I want to make sure, I mean, it's not,
It's the weirdest case.
right, so I just want to make sure we all do that, so that way it's like, okay, because it's so much stuff to.
I drove to Michelle's house 3
That's what
times
she
to pick up
said, that's what she
CDs.
said.
You're
Once
right.
didn't work.
That's what she said, I know, I had to, did it work on paperwork? When I had to convert,
Yes.
okay, yeah, no problem. So I don't know how to do that, but
And I
we
love
have,
Michelle. The only thing that pissed me off was her golf day. Like, I'm a big golf guy.
I have two,
I
but
the golf and he said no.
I have two, so I'm a crazy dog lady. I have two Labradoodles, and I'm like, I'm on the third grade, but my fiance's like, you're done.
I have Golden.
Uh-huh.
He's getting.
Yeah.
He's my third grade.
You have three right now?
No,
Oh.
Max was 17.
Here.
That's a lot, that's old for
See,
a.
this will humanize me.
Oh, that's a cute
my
face.
dog.
I'll show
See,
you mine.
see, I'm a human
Lieutenant Gerard,
being.
you got any dogs at the house?
Yeah, right.
Honey.
Yeah.
Such a good dog.
These are mine. That's Hazel.
Aw,
she's cute.
Look how cute she
Look,
is. She's Labradoodle.
Yes.
There's only one wall though.
That's our dog daycare.
You know how it is. You never, you know.
You never get.
Mostly
No.
because I can't work at home. And then
No.
we got another puppy because we're insane. We got two pandemic
Here, look.
puppies.
That's right. That's Ziggy.
Oh, that's a good one. This is Olive.
Aw.
We got two pandemic puppies. Oh, he's so
My
cute.
Charlie, who died at 2.5.
Oh, that's terrible. That's
He had a
not.
stomach issue. And he had
The
sepsis
blow,
after surgery.
the blow up twisty thing, that happened to my fiance's sister's dog. Like they came, yeah, terrible. Okay.
I'll be quick, Judge. I don't have
I'll
that
go
much.
get Miss Farley.
Yeah, please. I guess the technical problem has been ironed out, so.
Okay, great.
Going 3 days in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a new quarter, there's always. And the last witness is gonna be exceptionally brief.
Oh, you have another witness?
One, but the police officer, but it's gonna be very, very brief.
That's just set up this witness.
I said that?
Something.
I don't think that was that long.
Yeah. Either way, that's, whatever,
I do that.
Mr. Grable, whatever time you need.
I appreciate that, Judge.
Okay. We're back. Ms. Farley still under oath, so,
Okay.
so you're done with your cross and you're doing redirect.
Or recross. I think it would be recross.
Redirect.
Redirect, I don't know what
You
it is.
call Either way, you're.
That's fine.
Yeah, so.
So we were talking about the message, and I think you said the message was, pardon me for being, I think the message is, guys, I'm sick, all that fucking money that bastards took, $40,000, did that and left us like this.
Yes.
That was a mistype. You were
That was.
referring to just Chuck, not me.
Just Chuck.
So you weren't insinuating that Chuck hired a law firm, my law firm, and we were part of the bastards, so to
No,
speak.
I was referring to him because I had never heard back from him when he was supposed to go and do what he said.
So, and give you, so you were expecting, if I'm correct, there was an inheritance of $40,000 or something
There
like
was.
that?
Mhm.
And that was his some family inheritance or something like
His
that?
father had bonds
Okay,
that we had at home. That was kind of our savings that we kept.
was that something that was part of the marital estate, if you know, or he was just supposed to give that to you?
What do you mean?
Well, were there something so that was something inherited through his father? but
Correct.
He was supposed to give that to you. Is that correct? That was the sort of
The agreement
arrangement?
from after the allegations you're talking
Yes.
about? Yes,
Okay. And obviously, he did not follow through on that. Would
Correct.
that be fair? Okay. I don't have any further questions. Thank you for your time.
all set?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay.
May Ms. Farley and the victim be excused?
Yes.
Unless you guys need them to.
Unless there is a problem with their excuse.
No objection.
Excuse me.
Okay, and just remind that, you know, we aren't to discuss our testimony with each other, obviously. I've reminded you of that before, but just to put on the record.
Okay. Who's your next?
Here she stays.
Detective Schneider.
She's in the hall.
Okay.
Yeah. And Lieutenant George is still here.
Okay. She's not gonna be up there very long.
That's fine. It's the most I've talked, like, in the courtroom in how long? Making me thirsty.
I do want to ask her about that. You know, in case she has different memory. Yeah, I mean, that could be super. I think, yeah, that's it.
That's important.
Oh, Your Honor, I'd like to call Detective Carrie Schneider briefly, please. Good morning, Detective Schneider. I'm Attorney Scott Grable. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. Would you state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Carrie Lynn Schneider, Schneider.
Okay, and you were formerly employed, if I'm correct, was it the Huron Township Police Department?
Correct,
Okay, and you recently retired, correct?
correct.
Okay. And there was a point in time in 2020 that I guess you were investigating an individual by the name of Chuck Farley, correct?
Correct,
You also investigated me too, correct?
correct.
Okay. And you recently retired. Was that under the threat of civil litigation by myself, or was that just a coincidence that you just recently retired?
I had 25 years and I retired.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a little trouble hearing. Do you mind moving your microphone a little closer? Sorry, Detective Schneider. No, I heard, but it's a little faint.
Is there something funny that's amusing you about this? I just want to know. You seem to be laughing. Did I say something that amuses you? I'm just asking. I'm curious. Is this proceeding funny to you?
Judge, I'm gonna object. Is it argumentative?
I think it is. too.
Oh,
I
I
did
would-
say turn up the volume, so maybe that was.
Okay,
Why don't you proceed with the.
okay. Well, she's snickering, Judge,
Why don't
usually.
you proceed with the question, please?
Okay. So you were assigned to investigate Chuck Farley for possible CSC allegations, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and were you the lead officer at the time, or was that Detective Gerard who's here?
It was my case.
Okay,
He's my commanding officer.
okay, so he's your supervisor.
Correct.
Okay. And, you know, our office is called to interview about the case, but you would not answer any questions from our law firm. Our detective wanted to ask you questions about the investigation. Would it be fair to say you invoked your right to counsel and wouldn't answer any questions? Is that correct?
Objection, Judge?
Goes to credibility, Your Honor, and bias.
I didn't hear the question, sir. What was the question?
The question was, I asked her if our firm tried to interview her about her investigation in Mr. Farley's case, and she invoked her right to counsel. She has a civil attorney, Kevin Foley, and I'm going to credibility and bias. It's unusual that a active detective invokes her right to counsel. She has the right to, of course, and doesn't want to answer any questions from the defense.
How is this?
Goes to bias and her
Can
credibility.
I finish my question? before you
Sure.
answer the question? How is this relevant to this case?
Well, I think the fact that she did a absolutely substandard piss poor investigation who prejudiced my client, and she did not hypothesis test the allegations because she has personal bias. At least I believe she has personal bias against me. I think that affected the quality of the investigation. That I don't think in a CSC case, you hypothesis test the allegations, although she may not know what that word means. You're supposed to do it.
Judge,
And
I mean, this is just getting to be a personal attack against the witness. And I don't
Yeah,
think it's
but-
appropriate.
that's fine. I'll withdraw the question.
All right.
I appreciate it. As part of your investigation in the Chuck Farley matter, you interviewed, obviously, Stephanie Farley, correct?
The original officer spoke with her and I spoke with her afterwards.
Okay. Do you recall there was a time that you, I guess, gathered witness statements or did some follow-up on February 11th, 2020 at what's referred to as the Swaggers, Rob and Jamie Swagger? Does that sound familiar to you?
I did obtain statements from the Swaggers, yes.
Okay. Do you recall, and I could show you, if it helps refresh your memory if you need it, was there a point in time that you were at the Swagger residence and Stephanie Farley asked to step outside
Yes,
to talk to you?
yes.
Okay. Did she tell you, Stephanie Farley, words to the effect that she hasn't been entirely honest with you and wanted to step outside and talk to you? Isn't that true?
No,
Well, I noticed there's snow on the ground. Why did she need to step outside and talk to you?
because I'm assuming she didn't want to talk in front of Jamie and Robert.
Okay. So if Jamie and Robert said, she said that they would be mistaken, that Ms. Farley told you she lied about something and wanted to talk to you in private, that would be completely inaccurate. Is that true? Under oath?
Miss Farley told me that she'd like to speak to me in private. That's what she said.
Nothing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please go ahead.
And we stepped, and I was leaving anyways, and she went out the door with me.
Okay. She didn't, so Ms. Farley did not say anything about that she lied to you or wasn't entirely honest or words to the effect before she stepped outside. Is that correct?
Correct. From what I remember, I don't remember her telling me she lied about anything.
Okay. If she did tell you, hypothetically, she lied about something, that would be something you would certainly notate in your police report, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and there's nothing in the report about anything that you stepped outside or she wasn't entirely honest or anything like that. That wasn't referenced in the report, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you're familiar, you've reviewed the discovery, correct?
I've reviewed my report. Correct.
Okay. Have you reviewed the discovery to help refresh your memory before you came here today?
I have not.
Okay, so you're testifying from memory?
Correct.
Okay. Now, to be fair to you, Detective, and I guess I was a little bit terse with you, I apologize. Let's see if we can get back on some better friendly footing. To be fair to say, in this case, you have no skin in any criminal investigation. You objectively investigate a case and let the evidence go where the evidence goes. You don't have any skin in the fight, correct?
I collect the evidence and turn it over to the prosecutor.
Right, and if it's exculpatory and it helps the defendant, if that's what it is, so be it. If it's inculpatory and does the opposite, that's the way it goes. Your goal is you don't take sides. Would that be fair?
Correct.
And in this particular case, you and I don't recall, have we ever met before the Farley case?
No.
Okay, I don't have any memory. There was a case, does the name Larry Elkins sound familiar to you?
He was a defendant in a previous case I had.
Okay, okay. Did you know whose firm represented Mr. Elkins?
No.
Okay, it would surprise you, I guess I'm not offered, it wouldn't surprise you if it was my firm, correct?
Well, I found out later from Mr. Amadeo that he was part of your firm.
Okay. Right, and it would be fair to say, that doesn't matter, that didn't matter to you in the Farley case whatsoever, correct? You don't care who the defense attorney is. Like you said, you're objectively gathering evidence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my involvement or Mr. Amadeo's involvement did not change how you did your job, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you did it, in your opinion, in a very fair, ethical way, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And be fair to say, you don't, before today, maybe that's changed since the last couple of minutes, but before today, you had no personal dislike of me or animus against me in any way. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't know you.
Right. So you don't, again, apologize for the last couple of minutes before. Before today, you didn't hate me or dislike me. Is that a fair statement?
Correct. It's
Okay.
just work.
Right. Nothing personal, not to be cliche, but nothing personal, correct?
Correct.
You didn't tell anybody that you can't stand me and you want me to get charged or words to the effect. You would never say something like that to somebody, would you?
I may have said that to fellow officers or prosecutors that I was working on the case with
Okay.
after your behavior.
Am I charged with a crime that you're aware of in any state, federal, or?
No, just your behavior towards me while I was working on the case.
But we've never talked to each other, is that correct? Have we talked to each other before today?
No, but I've heard of what you've said to me, to the chief and to the other prosecutor.
Well, did the chief tell you he hung up the phone on me? and we
Objection.
didn't talk for 10 seconds?
Okay, I think.
Okay, so,
Again, turn beyond.
that's fine.
Comes in here.
So did you tell Matthew Penny, I can't stand Scott Grable, you need to charge him. I want you to charge him, or words to the effect.
And again, Judge,
Goes to
objection.
bias and credibility.
Just let the objection be made. before
Okay.
I answer it.
Okay.
Likewise, let me finish.
Please, I'm sorry, Judge, and I'm almost
You're
done.
doing it again. You're doing it again.
Okay.
Let things go before you interrupt, okay?
Very good.
So did you have an objection?
Just to this line of relevance, she's already answered that she may have said that to the former prosecutor. I mean, or to the officers.
Is that what you usually do in a fair, objective investigation? Say, I can't stand a certain person, you need to charge him? Not that he's guilty, but I can't stand him. Is that a professional statement, in your opinion, Detective Schneider?
That was a conversation I was having with Matthew Penny.
You were aware that conversation was recorded, aren't you? You were aware. Or maybe you weren't.
Maybe I wasn't.
Have you listened to that conversation before you came here today?
I have not.
So you think it's fine to tell a prosecutor reviewing a suspect's case, I can't stand the person and you should charge him? That's the criteria in your mind of warning charges?
I said, if you are guilty of what we were investigating you on, I believe you should be charged.
But that's not what you said. Would you like me to play the conversation or a snippet of it, what you said?
You can
It
try
might
and
be
turn it
fine.
around. That was my intent of what I stated. I'm
But,
not gonna lie. I think you should be charged if you did what Stephanie said you did. It's
Right.
unethical.
right, if I did,
Well, then I think,
that's fine.
we.
But I
covered
didn't.
it. Please,
Okay.
make a ruling. I think we covered it. I think we're running it into the ground.
That's fine.
If you have any other questions, say from on another subject or something related to the charge here.
No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Any
I don't, Judge.
legislators?
Oh, wait, I just want to wait. Oh, till the witness exits, Judge Disker. Thanks, Judge. And is it okay if I do my bind over from here, or would you prefer me to?
Are you gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna motion bind over.
Okay, and keeping in mind, I've heard all the evidence you did, so, and I was awake. So,
I did see that, Judge.
thank you for waiving argument. Well, let me, before you go on, I have 3 counts, first degree and 3 second degree.
Yes,
Is that what you're going on?
yes, Your Honor. I moved to bind over on all counts, or the
Okay.
people, excuse me.
And
I
thank you
would
for
ask-
waiving argument. Okay,
And,
Yes.
oh, one more thing, Judge. I would just ask to amend the date of information based on the testimony from year 2014 to year 2016, 2020, based on the testimony of the complaint witness. And I'll
I'm sorry,
reserve,
time out.
I'm just gonna reserve it.
Date amended to, I'm sorry, what?
I would amend the year where it says date of offense. I would just like to amend 2014 to 2016 based on the testimony of Ms. McBuyer
And that was 2016 and 20 to 20.
to 2020, correct. And with that, I'd reserve any argument for rebuttal unless the court has questions.
Your Honor, I don't feel that people have met their burden. Stephanie Farley testified that things happened in Taylor. Miley Mescar, forgive my pronouncing of her name, said nothing happened in Taylor. At the very least, we have a venue issue. Furthermore, the child said that she was sleeping. She changed how many times the allegations happened. Even at a probable cause standard, the people have not met their burden. Lastly, there is some question that Detective Stern did not do a fair and impartial investigation. For these reasons, I ask that the matter be dismissed. Thank you.
Well, here's what I heard.
I'm so sorry, Judge. I'm just having a really hard time.
Miley.
No, not you. I'm just having a, may I
Yeah,
just,
I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Miley.
Yeah, I think I'm having a little bit of a hard time. Maybe it's me.
Do you mind if we both stand here, Judge,
Yeah,
just to hear
just so
you?
we can hear you better. This is a really big courtroom.
You know, I've been falsely accused of mumbling, obviously it's false, but
No, I think it's just the distance.
I'll proceed, try not to mumble. Okay. As I recall, Ms. McIver said it happened. She had a dream about it, but it also occurred several times in bed with mom and stepfather in bed, plus various times ready to shower during the day when mom and sister were not around. And I think that when you talk about probable cause, well, obviously the elements were shown and the probable cause aspect was met. Whether it's beyond a reasonable doubt or not is another issue, which is not for this forum. So I'm running it over. The date I have is May 27th at 9. And courtroom number, I'm not sure what that would be. I'm not quite sure how to do it in Wayne County. So,
Will you let me
but
know?
the
Because you're gonna be
venue was
coming.
established with.
I won't, but yeah, I mean, I won't know
Township,
beforehand.
Wells Road, and therefore it's, the Taylor issue is maybe for another charge, maybe not, I don't know, but the Taylor issue was not what we're here for, it's the Huron Township issue. So, the bond will continue May 27th at 9, and I'd like to thank all council, all three of you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's always good to listen to.
Get that. So it's the HIV testing order.
And Judge, I'm submitting, I just showed the order for counseling and testing for disease infection that's required
yes,
by
that's right.
statute. I would just put on the record that I've been having an issue where we're getting, when the bind over happens and gives the date, it ends up like, it's not even a date that's, so I will let you know if I hear anything that the date's different.
And two things just briefly for the record, and thank you for getting this in today. I know this has been a hardship to work this in. Emily's motion about the dates, we'll stipulate to that.
Oh, thank you.
And secondly, just in case, because I've experienced this before, that Frank Murphy does not get my client on the docket for his regular
And
information.
that's what I'm talking
I
about.
just don't want a bench warrant be an issue,
No.
because I've had several clients that never got notification, and then one client had a 1:30 one the other day, and I got a call at 1:15. Can you please appear? I do have 200 cases, Judge. So.
No, I get it.
Right.
I've had this,
Yeah.
frankly,
How
I
many
had,
Speed laws did you break getting them?
no, I've had that same issue recently where I've been waiting in Zoom for 2 hours and I text the AOI prosecutor and they're like, they don't have a docket today. So I'll let you know if I hear anything.
I'll gladly be on Zoom and do the arraignment. I just wanna make
As
sure.
far as I'm concerned, there will be no bench warrant, then I won't be the judge.
Right.
I wouldn't ask for a bench
I
warrant.
appreciate
Well,
that. Okay.
Honestly, no, I mean,
We'll be present. Just let us know.
Yes,
what happens.
I'll let you know if I hear
All
anything,
right.
but that does happen sometimes, you have my cell, so just feel free
Yeah,
to
no
text me if.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your
Judge,
Honor.
nice to meet you.
Good seeing you again.
Oh, are you
Judge.
asking us?
Good to be seen, right?
Absolutely, it's always good to be seen.
Give my regards to Washington.
What was the date?
5/27, but I don't know that it's gonna go, because I've been having very hard,
55, 27, 9 in general, but I know.
literally, it's happening every time. I will, but they don't, people think that they're, no, they don't tell us.
One case I waited.
Yeah.
And they told me
I've seen it.
like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't get him right for 3 months.
Yeah, I know, that's happening, like, I had one.